Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your new week out there so far. I know it's Monday. It stinks, but hopefully you got a short week out ahead of you. Hopefully you got Friday off with it being the 4th of July. But regardless, I hope you guys are feeling well out there this morning. Here to talk about the weather. The first thing we'll speak on is current conditions, the latest outlooks, and then we'll break down the country section by section. There is several states we'll zoom into that run the higher risk of strong to severe thunderstorms for today. But I'll tell you, as of right now, this could change, but as of right now, we don't even have a slight risk, level 2 out of 5, just a very large level 1 out of 5 marginal risk, but we'll zoom into a couple areas. After we get done talking about today's weather, we'll speak on the days to come a little bit, but then we'll give you a lengthy update on the tropics as we are watching an area of interest in the Gulf into off the coast of the southeast, just an area that could pop off some tropical activity over the next 7-10 days or so. So there's a lot of things to figure out with this. There's nothing overly concerning with this at all, but we do need to speak on it. We're getting a little bit deeper into hurricane season now. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below so I can pray over, and it gives many others an opportunity to do so too. So let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So this is the latest conditions. We got a big area of storms right smack dab in the middle of the country, surging through Kansas this morning. This is popping off a severe thunderstorm warning. We got areas of rain down to Oklahoma. We got some moisture down here being generated off a tropical storm, well, the remnants of Tropical Storm Barry. We got some moisture across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio this morning, some across Michigan, some moisture getting pulled down out of Canada into the Dakotas. It's made it all the way down to the Wisconsin, Minnesota border, and a little bit of moisture for the Jersey Shore. And we got a lot of tropical moisture hanging out down here in the northeast Gulf right at this moment. And this is the area we got to watch for sure. So moving past this, watches, warnings, and advisories. We got heat advisories in the orange areas. We got some still in New Jersey. I think one county in Delaware there, and southeast PA. We got some flood watches up in areas in green. Extreme heat warnings down here in southern Arizona and southern Cal. We got some red flag warnings now up for northern California. It's getting dry. There hasn't been a whole lot of moisture in this area of the country lately, but heat advisories up here for the orange counties in the western U.S. So moving past that, the Storm Prediction Center outlook now, I could see them pumping out a slight risk embedded somewhere in this huge marginal risk, but I will mention we do have a marginal risk for Oregon and Northern California. So any storms that do form in this area for today could hit strong to severe limits, but pretty large area of the country at least has a marginal risk, and an even larger area of the country, almost half the country, I would say half the country, at least runs a risk of thunderstorms, not light green, but just a risk of some hail, some gusty wind, just like any other summer storm. Nothing really unusual about this, but we will zoom into a few areas that I would say have just a higher risk of more widespread coverage of storms for today. Moving past this, looking at the excessive rainfall outlook, I would say there's a little bit more of a higher risk of flash flooding today, for today. In these yellow areas, this is where we have a 15% risk of flash flooding within 25 miles in a given location. So we're watching New Mexico, areas of Texas, areas of Kansas, Oklahoma, and also areas of southern Indiana. So we just need to watch really more so these yellow areas, but all in all, I'm not seeing a significant risk of flash flooding or anything like that, but we will show you how much rain could fall in some of these regions over the next 36, 48 hours or so. Now the southeast will move through the next 24 hours in more of a broad look, and the big area I want to watch out for is the Gulf coastline, and then an organized area of thunderstorms that could eventually get into western Kentucky and Tennessee. It's always a hot spot here in the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee, northern Georgia. But you see all this thunderstorm activity here along the Gulf coastline, points inland. This could produce flash flooding, definitely some just tropical type storms. Nothing crazy like what you see in the spring with the severe element that those storms bring. But everybody else kind of in this area right into here, more so just pop-up thunderstorms. But as we start to get into the overnight hours, really the late evening, I want to watch for an organizing line of storms kind of moving into western Kentucky and Tennessee. But just elsewhere, just pop up normal summer type stuff. But taking a closer look at Kentucky and Tennessee, because there is a marginal risk of severe weather in these regions. And, it doesn't show a whole lot really during the daytime hours. I would watch any of these cells you see, like near Paducah. This is around 7 p.m. tonight. This storm could be strong to severe. Some storms up here along the Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Kentucky line. Could have some storms up there. Just normal pop-up activity for middle and eastern Tennessee. But you see this line of storms around 10 p.m. entering western Tennessee, western Kentucky. We'll just be mindful of those. Those could pack a punch, put on a light show later on tonight. And then just overnight, just normal summer-type downpours, except these will be over the overnight hours. So, and just a closer look from my friends down here in the Gulf coastline, starting off this morning. It won't take long. You won't have to get deep into the day. I mean, by lunchtime, you'll start to get tropical downpours just straddling the Gulf coastline. And these could produce a lot of heavy rain. In fact, I'm kind of surprised there's not a slight risk up for flash flooding for these regions. But as of now, most of the heavy stuff will probably hang out in the northeast Gulf down here. But a lot of heavy activity. You see the thunderstorms developing. So if you are vacationing along the Gulf coastline, I say this all the time, just because there's a 60, 70, even 80% chance of storms, do not assume it's going to rain all day. It's not, but it is going to get much more stormier the deeper you get into the afternoon and evening hours along the Gulf coastline. But you see storms kind of going all the way up into the low country of South Carolina. But, the Biloxi, Mobile, Gulfport, Tallahassee, Pensacola, just all you Panama City, you guys, it's just going to be very stormy all the way to Jacksonville for this afternoon to this evening. So just be aware of that. And then we'll probably do it again tomorrow. And this is the area we got to watch right here. So the Northeast today, most of the immediate New England Northeast area, I think will be pretty okay. It's the energy we have to watch in Ohio, which I know really isn't part of the Northeast, but we always include it in the Northeast area on my videos. But this afternoon, we could get some storms in New Jersey. It's going to get very hot in this area, so some storms will fire. Maybe cool you off, but widespread thunderstorms you see in Ohio, getting into PA, western areas, southern tier of New York. We even have some storms there in Michigan. Some storms will become widespread in areas of West Virginia, northern VA, Maryland. And then we start to get into the overnight hours, and the leftovers of this energy will cross over the rest of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and so forth. But a closer look at, say, Ohio, starting off this morning, we get into about lunchtime, and then we get into 1, 2, 3, 4. Any of these storms could be strong to severe. I mean, it could very well be more so down here in the southern areas of Ohio, but, Columbus, Cleveland, Canton, Akron, all these areas run a pretty high risk of thunderstorms for today, and some of these could pack more of a punch than others. And then we get into the evening hours, even still some storms hanging out around the northwestern areas of the state of Ohio. And then we take it into West Virginia and surrounding states, lunchtime. Then we get into about late afternoon, around dinner time, rush hour, some storms over here near, Winchester, some storms maybe around Morgantown, 5, 6, 7 p.m. And around 8 to 9 p.m., it does show more widespread storm activity developing in more of the higher terrain of West Virginia. So be aware of that if you're vacationing in the mountains of West Virginia. And it does show a lot of storm activity getting into western Maryland, the panhandle of West Virginia. So, and then the last state we'll zoom into for this area is PA. I expect widespread thunderstorm activity to really start in the western areas of PA. Anybody could get this. I'm not going to spit out 10, 15 different town names, but anybody can get this. And then I think by the time we get to the evening, like 7, 8, 9 p.m., this will more so shift towards the central areas of PA. And just keep in mind, up here in the southern tier of New York, you'll get a lot of storm activity also. And then whatever's left of this, as we get into the late evening hours, closer to midnight, we'll make it into like Harrisburg, Allentown, Reading, Scranton, Hazleton. You guys will get some storms later on this evening. So just be aware of that. And I believe there wasn't. So we're good there. But moving into the south central U.S., some active weather is expected here. Whatever's left over of this activity. All right, let's get in motion here. of this activity in Kansas, it's showing, the HER model is showing for this to dissipate. We'll see if that actually happens. It does show some more organized thunderstorm activity, kind of straddling that Missouri-Arkansas line. But watch as we get into southern Oklahoma, eventually in the northern Texas. See all this storm activity that gets going? There's a couple things going on. We got a big surge of moisture going through the middle portion of New Mexico, all the way up the front range of Colorado. So expect some stormy times from Colorado Springs, Pueblo, down south of that region. We got thunderstorms dancing around in western Texas. I do want to say there will be a surge of moisture deep down in Texas also. This is 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a lot of things going on. These storms are moving this way. These storms are moving that way. It's like there's some sort of weak high pressure right in here. But nasty storms could get going in southern Oklahoma. And then drift into northern Texas and then sort of die out by tomorrow morning. But just a closer look at this area. And first off, we can get some storms in the panhandle of Texas around this afternoon. Then we get into this evening. This is around 8 p.m. You see all this storm activity really getting going south of Oklahoma City, Lawton, McAllister. These storms could produce some small hail, some gusty winds, and flash flooding also. And then eventually it drifts all the way down to Wichita Falls, Sherman, Paris, and maybe gets all the way down into the Dallas-Fort Worth area after midnight. This is 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So let's be aware of that. And a good bit of rain could fall in this area. We'll take a closer look at this region before we take a more broad look. And if we kind of look in this region here in this purple, pink area right here, that's over an inch of rain could fall in some of these areas in southern Oklahoma. But there's going to be some pockets of heavier rain kind of between the Childress, Amarillo, down to Lubbock area too. So just be aware of that. But just a larger look over the next 36 hours of how much rain could occur in the south central U.S. And I will say Arkansas also, which I'm going to do this first. Arkansas, you guys could get some nasty storms really in the northern areas up towards the Ozarks, Fayetteville, Rogers, Mountain Home, maybe eventually sneaking into Jonesboro for later on this evening. But it does show some pretty potent storms. Fort Smith, Russellville around 6 p.m. This is 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Shows a well intact area of storms between Little Rock and Jonesboro around 9 p.m. See if that's the way it actually happens. Storms hit Memphis, around 10, 11, 12 o'clock tonight. And then everything kind of breaks up during the overnight hours. But just, taking another look at how much rainfall could occur over the next, basically between now and 7 p.m. tomorrow. And, Central Texas is starting to dry out after getting all that rain over the spring. Not getting a whole lot of it. And, it's wild. Sometimes that drought monitor is not off, but it doesn't really tell the story. You can get 10 inches of rain, 5-10 inches of rain, over about a 10-day period, and you get into the heart of summer and you don't get rain for 2 weeks. It gets dry fast. It dries up fast. So, the north central U.S. this morning. We got that area of storms in Kansas, but we've already mentioned Ohio. Some storms could form in Indiana, eastern sections of the state. Storms are possible in lower Michigan. We got some pop-up thunderstorms up here in northern areas of Minnesota. We could have some storms in northern areas of Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. And then you see the organized area storms down here in Missouri drifting across a good chunk of the state, eventually getting into St. Louis later this evening. Eventually getting into the southern areas of Illinois, and then that's all she wrote. And just a closer look at some of these areas. It's starting off around lunchtime, some thunderstorms forming in portions of Missouri, and then we start to get to about 4 p.m., and then we begin to get to about 7 p.m. Some thunderstorms between Kansas City and St. Louis could get going, and some of these could be strong to severe. There's a marginal risk in areas of this state. And then we start to get to 9 p.m., 10 p.m., thunderstorms around the St. Louis area. And I think after that, most of this action will cruise on into Illinois. And speaking of Illinois, this is starting off this morning. Let's fast forward a little bit too early on here. And, we start to get to 7 p.m., 8 p.m. thunderstorms showing up near Springfield, Champaign, north of St. Louis, maybe around Quincy. Looks like it stays maybe south of Peoria, but very well could pop up on you guys. 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight tonight. thunderstorms scattered about across the southern areas of Illinois, and could just continue to be widespread across these regions. And eventually, it's the overnight hours. Some of this heavy rain activity could get into Evansville, just southern areas of Indiana. So the western U.S., I would watch out for northern Cal, southern areas of Oregon. You could get some thunderstorms. Here they are popping up. This is later on this afternoon to this evening. So these storms right here could hit strong to severe limits. You got to watch out. This area has been pretty dry, so any kind of rogue lightning strikes could start a wildfire. So just be aware of that. Elsewhere, we've already spoke a little bit on Colorado and New Mexico. The immediate heart of the western U.S. continues to be pretty quiet. Now, temperatures, I mean, it's pretty warm everywhere. I mean, it's the last day of June, about to head off into July. The deeper we get into summer, guys, the more excited I get for fall, and the more that I am really challenged to my core to want to pack up everything that I got and move north up to the UP of Michigan or interior sections of New England. You guys know that's been tuning in for any length of time. You know I like to get off on a random tangent here and speak on where I would love to live, and even my wife is on board. The thing that my kids, my little girls, are not for it at all. And we have a wonderful church, and we have wonderful friends, and I got a great job, but my wants and desires wants to move somewhere where I get to enjoy fall and winter a lot more than what we do down here in South Carolina. But that feeling gets very strong this time of the year when we get into the heart of summer and we get a little bit closer to fall. But anyways, hot spot across the Midwest will probably be the entire state of Illinois. Just looks warmer than everybody. Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, very warm, 80s, 90s. We're going to have, it's going to be even warm up in the Northeast, finally getting into the summer consistently up here. And in the middle of the country, western U.S., I'm telling you, most of the country is just warm. And nobody's super cool. The only area that's relatively cooler is Minnesota. And really, it's just northern areas of the state. 60s and 70s for high, so pleasant up there, blistering hot across the Southwest. So, tomorrow's severe weather outlook, everywhere else a general risk of thunderstorms, but I just want to zoom into the Northeast. Marginal risk gets all the way down into central areas of South Carolina, all the way up to almost the down east areas of Maine, extends all the way just about to Syracuse, Pittsburgh. But there's a slight risk for a pretty highly populated area, level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather, the D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia corridor. So what we're going to do here is zoom into this a little bit, and here we are. Level 2 out of 5 risk. Baltimore, D.C., Frederick, Lancaster, Allentown, Philadelphia. It includes most of the state of New Jersey. Now what's driving this? If we back this up, this will work for us. Okay, it's not really. I think this site is messing up, and it was kind of messing up with me this morning, but I wanted to give it a chance. So what we're going to do here is just get back off this and go to this here. And let's zoom into this area. The tornado outlook, sub 2% risk. But the wind threat, there's a lot of communities in this area. For obviously, the I-95 corridor is very highly populated, but 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour in this area in yellow. And then the hail threats is actually sub 5%. So really what's driving tomorrow's severe weather threat is the higher wind threat. So just be aware of that. And then we look at the excessive rainfall outlook. Same area that has the higher risk of severe weather has the higher risk of flash flooding. And Richmond, D.C., Baltimore, up to Wilmington, 15% risk of flash flooding to potentially happen within 25 miles in a given location. And then the day 3 outlook, listen, there isn't even a marginal risk. Just a huge area of the country runs a general risk of thunderstorms. So that's pretty wild. But the excessive rainfall outlook, I want to watch to see this area to increase, especially this area down here. In fact, if we go to day 4, there's nothing showing up. Well, day 5. So this is getting into, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This is Friday's outlook. Friday, yeah. So this is Friday. So this is the 4th of July. It looks pretty rainy for Florida. I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but speaking on why it's going to be rainy in Florida, let's give you an update on the tropics. Now, I want to let you guys know, it happens all the time. It's 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. Eastern time here at the time I'm making this video right now. But right now, there is a 20% chance of something to develop, something tropical or subtropical to develop within the next 7 days in this yellow area. So it could happen in the Northeast Gulf. It could happen off the southeast coastline. Now we'll go back to the all tab. Barry made landfall as, I believe, a 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm. But it was a very sloppy looking one. But anyways, all of our focus from here on out is going to be on this area of interest. So I say this, when they give us the 7:50, 8 a.m. update here in the next hour, this could bump up to a 30% chance. But as of right now, I don't see it going up to a 40% chance based off what I'm about to show you. That could change very fast. So the next name is Chantal, which I don't know. I wouldn't have guessed that'd be the way to pronounce it, but it's Chantal. Chantal. That's how you pronounce it based off the punctuation chart from the National Hurricane Center. So let's take a look at what it looks like here in the Gulf right now. Now, this is the remnants of Barry. Just looks like normal thunderstorms to me, but this is the area to watch right here. I'm going to actually draw on it a little bit here. This is the area to watch. You see just blobs of color. That's probably all you are probably thinking that you see here. Well, what this is this is convection. This is shower and storm activity. And if you match it up with the radar, what you would see right here is that very thing, a shower and storm activity tucked into the Northeast Gulf. So we have to watch, and this is a part of some sort of stalled cold front or weak boundary. And this stuff is going to get bogged down into the Gulf or off the coast of the Southeast due to a building ridge of high pressure to the north. So this happens just about every hurricane season. So this area of unorganized thunderstorms could become more organized and then eventually develop some sort of low-level feature, low-level circulation, and gain tropical characteristics. So this is the area we are watching, believe it or not. And this will be the area that continues to fire over the next several days. So, yeah. And if you notice, we're getting kind of blobs of red, black. This indicates colder cloud tops. And I'll move my face out the way. Kind of the further you go down this, and this is in Celsius. So the further you go down here, the colder it gets. Let's just leave it at that. So if you look down here, for example, you see the blowups in whites and even some pockets of pink in here. That's where we have stronger convection. Stronger convection means these cloud tops are going up higher up in the atmosphere. And the higher up it gets, the colder it gets. So that's why it reflects colder cloud tops. So that makes sense. And we'll continue to dive deeper into that kind of stuff as we move forward. We're going to start off tomorrow morning, the morning of July 1st. Happy July. Goodbye, June. And what you're going to notice here is just blobs of green and yellow and orange popping up. And I think tomorrow morning we'll wake up to the same as what we're waking up to this morning, is just blobs of storms tucked into the Northeast Gulf. And as we continue to move forward here, I'll mention times as we go. You're going to see just normal summer type stuff up here, but you're going to see just a lot of thunderstorm activity across Florida and the Southeast. But if you notice, when all this stuff up here sort of disappears, this stuff down here sort of remains. And that is because there's something trying to organize down here. So we get into Wednesday, you start to see stuff kind of off the coast of the Southeast also, and it continues just to be around. And we get into Thursday, you see the blob of moisture in the Gulf, and you see some blobs of moisture off the coast of the Southeast. And I know I'm using terms like blobs, and it's not maybe a professional word to use, but it's kind of what it is. And there's nothing organized. And we get into Thursday, July the 3rd, more thunderstorm activity, more so hanging out over the state of Florida. And then we get to the morning of the 4th, and it's more so down here, but it does pop off a weak low pressure. 1014 shows up here the morning of the 4th of July, but I mean, this is not an organized low. So we start to get into Saturday. It's still hanging out with us. You just can't see it very well. 1014 low. This is more so the center of whatever circulation is here, whether it's broad or tight. It's more so off the coast of the Southeast, whether instead of in the Gulf. Okay. You continue to move into Saturday. You get into Sunday, and it just continues to dance around. Something continues to be there. I mean, even a week out from right now. So in my opinion, what's a better way to look at this? And the better way to look at this is the 850 millibar Vort map. So this is basically telling us where there is more energy in the lower levels of the atmosphere. And when I say lower level, I mean 850 millibars, and what I mean by that is about a mile above our heads from the surface, whether that's the surface of the ocean or the surface of land. So, and it all depends on elevation too, but we're speaking on an area that's only a couple hundred feet up in the air compared to the sea surface. So anyways, so 4,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air. And what you'll notice is we're waking up tomorrow morning, we got more of a highlighted area of energy. So look at the slashes of yellow, orange. So as we move forward here, we get into Wednesday morning. We just got some energy sort of hanging out down here. Nothing looks very organized. Sort of an open wave, if you will. And then we get into Thursday. We get into Friday morning. All right. Friday morning, it does have a cyclonic rotation in the lower levels in this area. It's just very broad. If you notice these wind barbs, can I draw on this really quick for you? You notice these wind barbs, the winds are kind of going like this way in the lower levels, and then they get kind of weird. They kind of go like this, and then it kind of rotates around like that. But it's very kind of elongated. It's very strung out. It's not organized is what I'm trying to say. But you continue to keep this in motion. This sort of continues to do the same thing, tries to tighten up here, and we get into Saturday, July 5th, and then, you know, whatever's here eventually kind of drifts into the southeast coastline somewhere early next week. So it looks like we could potentially be talking about this for a while, but you know, the Euro does not depict anything overly concerning at all, except a lot of rain for Florida, which we'll show you how much they're predicting over the next 7 days here in a second. Now, you look at the latest GFS, and it does something a little bit different. You know, we get into Thursday, July 3rd. You can see more organized energy in the lower levels down here. Let's make sure we're at 850. We are. So we already have some sort of rotation right here. If you look at the wind barbs, they're sort of rotating right around here cyclonically. Okay, and this is trying to organize on the Gulf side instead of the Atlantic off the coast of the southeast side. So this kind of develops and then sort of drifts, you know, east to west. So it kind of just drifts across the northern Gulf. And at this point, I mean, this is not a strengthening low pressure. It's still very weak, even though this looks more impressive on the Vort map. It is definitely more organized in the Euro. It's still not a very strong low, but this eventually sort of just continues to drift across the northern Gulf and kind of grinds down the entire Gulf coastline as we get into early next week. So that's a scenario also, and that's why the National Hurricane Center has this entire area kind of up for the possibility of development, and not say just this area or just this area. They have both areas. So last thing we'll look at is the icon. I mean, the icon sort of just is in a middle ground and tries to get something going on down here, sort of off the southwest coastline of Florida. So kind of a middle ground, if you will. And let's try to get this in motion here. And this is the last frame we got. This is kind of 4th of July night to the morning of the 5th. And it is trying to organize something down here. You can see the brighter colors. And if we kind of look at, yeah, it has a 1011 millibar low. What does the GFS have? Let's get this in motion. GFS gets this. Don't tell me tropical tidbits don't went down again. GFS gets this going here, and it keeps it pretty much a 1010-ish millibar low. So gotta watch tropical tidbits. It's been going down a lot lately. But last thing I'll show you is the Euro ensemble and then the GFS ensemble. So what the Euro ensemble is it takes 51 members and then creates a mean or an average. But what I'm showing you here is it shows us all the members. So if 20 members form an appreciable low pressure, it's going to throw them on this map for us. If 10 of them form, it's going to throw it on the map. If all 51 of them form, it's going to put it on here. So this is between now and about the next 7 days. So what you'll notice is a bunch of just squiggly lines going all kinds of directions. You got some that are going like what the GFS showed, Some are following the operational Euro, which is kind of taking this into the Georgia-Carolina coastline. But you just got different scenarios here. And some of these get pretty strong. Like, I mean, some of them get into hurricane strength. The ones that kind of hang out over the northern Gulf long enough. I'm not going to rule out anything. Okay, but what I'll tell you is that the Euro ensemble does have several members that show something. Now, it's not a lot; it's only a small percentage. But you look at the GFS ensemble, and this takes us about a week out, and this only makes up about 31 members, and it doesn't get a whole lot of members, but there is a small percentage of them. So, one thing that we are for sure, is that a lot of rain is going to fall in these areas. So this is rainfall between now and literally this time next week, so 7 days. Big plume of moisture hanging out over the northeast Gulf, and this obviously will work its way inland and rounds. So the bend of Florida down into Tampa, down to Fort Myers, and pretty much all the way into the central panhandle of Florida coastline. Anywhere from 5 to as much as 10 inches of rain is possible, guys. I mean, once you start to get into these yellow-orange shaded colors, that's over 4 inches of rain. So a lot of rain, kind of just confined to this area down here. So just be aware of that, guys. Folks, that's all I got. I want to thank y'all for continuing to tune in the slower times. It's been slow for about 4 months now. I've just gotten kind of used to it. I made a joke earlier saying, man, I don't know how I'm going to act once these videos start to get over 10,000 views again. But, it's at the same time, it's kind of a way to just appreciate what I got a little bit more. Sometimes when the videos are doing so well, you forget to appreciate when a video hits 10,000 views. So this has kind of helped me to do that again. But thank you for people who continue to tune in and things like that. And I do hope that the people who have not tuned in as much is having a wonderful summer. I understand that you don't want to be glued to a computer screen when you're out and about trying to enjoy the outside and things like that. So, like I said, do appreciate people who continue to make this part of your routine. And, I will say this, and I say this often. I've said this many times over the last few years. The people who continue to tune in, and of course I love my members so much. I think I have around 50 members that support my channel unconditionally, and I love and appreciate y'all so much. But just the entire body of people that continues to tune in day in and day out, you guys truly are the heart and foundation of the channel. I mean, if I didn't have you guys, I mean, it would stink. I mean, I would continue to make videos because I did it once upon a time when I didn't have many subscribers. But, you guys are truly the driver to come on here and continue to make content on those mornings that, I don't really feel like doing it, because there are mornings where I certainly don't feel like making a video. I mean, I'm human. I'm not going to pretend like I hop in this chair and talk to weather and absolutely just want to do it every single time. And some mornings are just rough, and it's just like, man, just kind of want a normal morning. But this is part of my routine. This is part of life now, and I love you guys. Y'all guys are so supportive. So just want to take a minute to show my appreciation there. But that's all I got. You guys have a wonderful start to your week, and make it a good day. We'll talk soon.